the power of intention. Um, so I guess knowing that this is going to be recorded, welcome to anyone who watches this recording later. The power of intention. So sound healing, sound baths has been a bit of an obsession and a love of mine for many, many years. I am also many things amongst a sound bath facilitator. I teach yoga classes, meditation, I lead teacher trainings, retreats, and a whole lot more in the wellness industry. And I started all of this around 2013. I've been working with instruments since I was a little kid. I took a bit of a break, and sometime within being in the yoga industry, I got reintroduced to crystal bowls. And from there, my interest kind of grew again. So for me, it kind of feels like a coming back home, a reintroduction to sound and harmony in a very different way, in a way that interacts with the human body in a very interesting way. And one of the really cool things about sound healing and sound baths and working with sound in general is how much your intention and your thoughts impact what you're receiving and how your body's integrating it. So I know I kind of jumped into our topic today. Kayla, if you want, what is your experience with sound? I'm just curious how you've entered this space.
Yeah, so I found sound healing in 2015, I think it was, when I first moved to Flagstaff, Arizona, and I started attending a sound healing that was facilitated by a couple of people I knew in the community. And I really fell in love with it. It's actually what taught me to meditate. Before, I could never really quiet my mind. But sound meditation really helped me kind of just tap in. And then I became very obsessed with it. And then the group that I was attending asked if I wanted to start playing with them. So then I got to learn about a lot of the different instruments and just became a pretty big part of my life for a couple of years.
Amazing. I'm glad I'm not the only one that uses the word obsessed when I talk about
Yeah.
this. That's really cool to know that you have a background in working with different instruments. Is it mostly the crystal bowls or other instruments too?
So they had a lot. We had gongs, hand drums. We had both crystal and Tibetan singing bowls, lots of different chimes. So I got to play around with a lot of different stuff. And it was really unique because there was about four of us that would play. And so we'd have a lot of instruments going at once, which was really fun just to kind of see the flow of what those sounds could be like when everyone's doing them together.
Yeah, what an amazing experience when there's multiple people playing different instruments at the same time. It becomes very multidimensional.
Yeah,
Thanks
beautiful.
for sharing.
Yeah.
So today, because I wanted to keep it kind of short and concise, the talk is just about the power of intention and how that relates to sound healing. There is so much that we can talk about within the sound world, and that'll be saved for another time. But specifically for today, the idea of how we can work with intention. And there is a man who's written a ton of books on sound healing and sound and harmonics in general, Jonathan Goldman. He has amazing books, and a lot of it is rooted in science and tons of research that he has done. And one of the biggest things that came from a lot of his research is the fact that intention has a lot to do with what the outcome of a sound experience is. So the formula came to be frequency plus intent equals healing. And I like to mention the word healing because it is kind of an interesting term that we get to use when we're in sound healing. But I always want to remind us that when I play my instruments and not doing the healing, I'm empowering other people to incorporate this modality to heal themselves or to work through stuff themselves. So take the word healing with a little bit of a grain of salt and within your own experience. But he wrote that the intent is the energy behind the sound. It's the consciousness we have when making the sound, which is then encoded upon it, travels on it, and ultimately is received by the person listening to it. Taking this formula that he wrote, we'll break it down. So frequency is the sound being created. It's me tapping into, oh, I'm going to let someone in real quick. Welcome, Alina. We just started a few moments ago. Glad you made it. So the frequency is the sound being created. It's me hitting a singing bowl, hitting a gong, creating a sound. Intent is the energy or consciousness behind the sound. It's me coming into a sound bath or a private with an intention that I want to kind of move into my experience and offer it to those around me. And then the healing is the desired outcome from the sound. So keeping that formula in mind, the way this came to be is that through tons and tons of research, again, specifically by Jonathan Goldman, he went through many, many studies, and I'm like thousands of studies where we'll say scientist A or Dr. A was playing, a frequency of the note A. And he was working with a client hoping to heal his liver. So this sound of the note A was helping to heal this person's liver. There was a second doctor, Dr. B. He was using the note C, and he was trying to do the same thing, heal this person's liver, and it worked. And so he saw this happen over and over again. And again, a lot of Jonathan Goldman's work is in like the scientific space and is rooted in science. So he kept seeing over and over again that these doctors, these practitioners were working with all sorts of different sound healing instruments. But whenever they were working on kind of the same case, or, they were trying to heal something very specific in the body, and we'll just use that, like, they were trying to heal someone's kidney, it was working. And so he concluded that it didn't matter what type of instrument or what type of sound was used. It was because these scientists, these doctors were working with wanting to heal that one specific thing. That's how it healed, essentially. An example of this is also that a whole lot of different schools of thought relate different notes to different chakras. So whether you're familiar with it or not, oftentimes when you go to get singing bowls or certain instruments, they say the A note is correlated with your third eye chakra. The C note is correlated with your root chakra. That's just one school of thought. So yes, that note can work with that chakra, but there's other schools of thought that think a different note correlates with that chakra. So that's just an example of how that could come to be in, let's say, that the world of singing bowls. The root chakra, we often know it as being the C note, but I believe it's in Tibetan philosophy. I believe it's the F note. So again, we're working with different notes. We're working with different instruments even, but it's working with the same thing. So it is always what the person behind the instruments is offering to the person receiving the sound. There was even more research done to kind of prove the same idea, and it's the work of Dr. Emoto. And I don't know if you've ever read the book Hidden Messages in Water. It's a really beautiful book. It's a really simple read. It's like really tiny, has a lot of visuals. It's very interesting, even if you look him up. Again, it's called Hidden Messages in Water. And that's a topic that we go into in some of my longer workshops and trainings. But Dr. Emoto essentially did a whole bunch of research finding that whatever you were saying or thinking is what was received by, Dr. Emoto's work was in water, but it correlated with how humans receive it too. So it's whatever you're thinking, whatever you're saying, whatever you're writing, that's what was received by the living being on the other side. So carrying that into kind of the necessities to allow this to happen. In a sound bath, in a sound healing session, a sound journey, whatever you want to call it, both the person playing the instruments and the person receiving the sound are co-creating the experience. So you want to be able to co-create an intention, an experience, and ultimately whatever it is that needs to be released or whatever it is that you're hoping to happen in this session. What I listed under the necessities is the concept of Tibetan medicine that I think explains this really well. So the first concept is that the belief of the person receiving the healing in the healer. And again, I mentioned like the word healing sometimes just tugs at me the wrong way, but this is how it's written in Tibetan medicine. But even thinking like the belief of the person receiving the sound bath in the person offering the sound bath. The next piece is the belief of the healer in the medicine. So for me to want to offer sound baths, for me to feel like it is a really powerful modality to help you, release and shake things up and work through stuff, I have to actually believe that this modality is working. And then the last piece is the relationship between the healer and the person receiving the healing. So that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to know each other really well, but there has to be some sort of trust. You have to trust in me that I know what I'm doing, that I'm educated enough or experienced enough to be able to offer this to you. So I feel like even when you look at the rules of Tibetan medicine, it's all about trust in the end. The person trusting the person offering, the person that's offering trusting the tools that they're working with, and then the relationship, that like kind of co-trust between the person offering and the person receiving. So this whole co-creation piece, and I wanted to talk about this in a way that, if you are interested in offering sound baths, this can help you incorporate intention into it. If you're just looking to do it for yourself, and this is kind of like a self-care modality, you can also use this as well. But these are some ways that you can incorporate this into a private or a group experience. So you as the person, I'm thinking of you as the person offering the sound, having a theme or an intention in mind when creating this experience. It can be something as simple as like, I just want everybody to feel relaxed. I want everyone to be able to receive whatever it is that they need. And there could be a lot more elaborate, themes and intentions in mind too. We would think about times like, the summer solstice or a new moon or full moon. Like you can make the intention really specific and share that with the recipients as well. Another idea is to have participants share their intention and integrate it into your session. So if you're offering it to maybe just one other person, it's a private, ask them if they would mind sharing their intention. And that way it's been, set into the space, you can keep it in mind, and that can kind of integrate into what it is that you're offering. And then the final thought is guiding participants to create an intention and having them speak it or think it silently. So this was more in like a group session. You can guide a little mini meditation or guide them in some way to formulate an intention in their mind. And for some people, this is really personal. So I always say you can speak it out loud. That might feel really good. But if it is more personal, think it, like keep it in your mind, but maybe share something else, and you offer them something else that they could share so they don't feel like they just have to like awkwardly pass. But these are just ways that you can co-create with whoever else might be receiving the sound. And if it's you come up with the intention. You're going to be playing the instruments, you're also receiving. And finally, there is no one frequency for everybody. Different frequencies are going to impact us in different ways. It always comes back to the intention of the person playing the instrument and the person receiving the sound. So I say that again in relation to if I play, my G bowl, some say it's meant for the throat chakra. When I play it, for some people, it might feel really good. It might really give them exactly what their body's needing in the moment. It might help them relax, but some people might hear that note and like cringe a little bit, or it makes their body tense up. Everyone's going to receive each of the instruments and each of the sounds and each of the notes in such a different way. But again, if there is a co-created intention, I almost think of it like an adaptogen. It's just going to kind of move through you and give you exactly what you need in that moment. And having an intention in mind will just make that experience a lot more magical, is a favorite word of mine, but it'll just make it a lot more potent and essentially amplify whatever it is that you are calling in or needing right now. Okay, that was a lot of words. I want to open it up if there's any thoughts or any questions or just anything that came up as I talked through that. And if there isn't, that's all good too. Cool. So with this little talk about intention and how powerful it can be, we're going to do a little sound bath together. I'm going to give you a moment to get really comfortable. I'm going to stop sharing my page. And I'll send out those slides in an email afterwards as well with the recording. But go ahead and get yourself really comfortable, whether you want to lay down or you want to stay seated or really whatever it is that works best in your body. Take a few moments to situate yourself. I'm going to scoot back towards my instruments. And the first couple notes that I hit too, you might end up adjusting your volume a little bit. But today you will hear a handful of the bowls, some chimes. That's what I'm going to work with today, but we're also going to get started off just breathing together a little bit, settling into our space and feeling into our own individual intention. This can work whether you're joining live or if you're receiving the recording and watching this later, because I'm going to have everything just happen in your mind. There's still a frequency, an energetic pulse that happens when you think an intention. So you never have to worry about if it's working or not. It is. However you choose to end up, let your eyes close off if you're comfortable with it. Take a few moments to wiggle out your body or even move your body in a way that helps you relax a little bit more. And then if there's a specific way that feels nice to land your hands as well, on your body, out by your sides. We'll begin by taking a slow breath in. Let your whole body fill up. Open your mouth, let everything release. And then try that once again. Breathe in through your nose. Open your mouth, let everything empty. And then take your time beginning to breathe in and out through your nose. Just letting your breath be slow and deep. Seeing if you can direct your breath low into your belly so it begins to activate your parasympathetic nervous system. That is the system within you that helps you to rest and relax and replenish. As you feel your body begin to soften, maybe even relaxing the muscles between your eyebrows, the muscles in your forehead, and kind of feeling your head relax, letting that sink deeper, let your brain relax, let go of all the wandering thoughts, everything that's constantly happening up there. Just allow yourself to sink into your breath. create a little bit more space between your thoughts. Invite in a word or a phrase. An intention of what it is that you're calling in this moment. And allowing this phrase or this word to be simple. Simple enough that you can breathe with it. Every inhale, you feel those words flow in. Every exhale, you feel those words ground into your body. You might feel yourself repeating these words a couple times. And then as you feel complete in the repetitions, trust that it is a part of your experience. You are receiving just as you need. And then let those words go. And let yourself take a nice deep breath in. Open your mouth. Let everything release. One more time, big breath in. Open mouth, exhale, let everything out. And taking some little movements to begin to stir yourself back. Whether it's rolling out your wrists, wiggling your fingers, taking a full body stretch. Wherever you've chosen to be, let your hands land on your belly and your heart. Take a moment to notice how you're feeling. Take a moment in gratitude, thank yourself. Send that out to anyone else that comes to mind. And we'll finish with one more cleansing breath. Inhale, fill up. Open mouth, release, let it go. Take your time little by little, starting to open up your eyes. Gently give yourself a chance to come back to your day. I will leave these last few moments open if there's any questions or just any thoughts. You're also